Thanks again for listening today. I am Ryan Neiman. Fantasy Sports U here. Follow your arrow. For some reason I like this song. I'm Ryan Neiman. Follow us on Twitter at Fantasy U Sports. Catch us on the web at fsportsu.com and on Instagram at fsportsu. Thanks again for listening. I am Ryan Neiman. As I said, Casey Musgrave is one of my favorite country singers right now. And talking about country, college basketball, much more, is Ambery Lynn Pennycuff is joining us right now. How you doing, Amber?
I'm
Doing great. Now, you were saying that Casey Musgrave is one of your favorite country singers, right?
Yes, absolutely love her. She's awesome.
A lot of people, I don't know why they hate her. It might be because of her light-up boots that she wears all the time, but I just love those light-up boots.
Yeah, I love her lyrics to all of her songs, because she's one of those people that kind of addresses the big pink elephant in the room.
Yeah,
with her songs, I really like that about her.
Especially that Blowing Smoke song. Basically, she's telling everybody to F off in that song, which I absolutely love.
Oh, yes, that's an awesome song. Have you gotten a chance to listen to her entire album?
No, I have not. What's her other good songs on that album?
Let's see, of course, the Merry-Go-Round. Trying to think of the other ones. The Arrow song you just played is by far one of my favorites, so it is a great album. You have to listen to it.
No, I am following my arrow into the sports world. Hopefully I don't crash and fall on my face, though.
I'm not there behind it.
Well, it was a wild weekend in the March Madness. In the rounds of the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, we saw all but one of the number one seeds go down, with Florida the last number one seed left. Filler games everywhere with Kentucky against Louisville, Kentucky against Michigan, Tennessee and Michigan, Arizona, and that last one I just said, Kentucky versus Michigan, where Harrison drilled that ridiculous three-pointer with 2 seconds left to give them that victory, to bring them to the Final Four. We are now left with the field of number 1 Florida is facing UConn, number 7, number 8 Kentucky against number 2 Wisconsin in North Texas. What were your impressions from these weekend games?
Man, it was kind of like the entire tournament as a whole. I felt like everything was an upset, and it was on point. It was craziness, but I loved it. It's the entertainment of the entire March Madness. It was crazy, but there were some great games.
Yeah, I never would have thought that UConn or Kentucky would be in the Final Four.
Same thing. UConn, they pulled it out in Kentucky, going in as an underdog, kind of so beforehand, and they both ended up in the Final Four. Who would have thought?
Yeah, SEC has looked fantastic during the tournament, and one of the big stories, I don't want to get you too angry about this story, was the questionable calls with the referees over the weekend, most notably the charge call with Tennessee against Michigan. How did you feel about that charge call against Jarnell Strokes?
Let me tell you, that is recorded on my TV, and I've watched it, I can't tell you how many times, and it was a heartbreaker, but, a lot of people made a good point. You've got to call it if there's a call, but in the same sense, if there's that many seconds left in that important of a game, and especially how the ref kind of blew his whistle before the play kind of, played itself out and everything. That was a heartbreaker, and it's a tough call to make as a ref. What do you do? Do you immediately call it or just let him play?
Yeah, that's my biggest problem is, like you said, it's a close game. Really just let those kids play. They've been playing their heart out the entire season, and I feel like they just took that away from Tennessee.
If you watch it closely, he didn't waste any time blowing that whistle, and not just because I'm a Tennessee fan, even looking at the other different games, it's just almost ridiculous. It's like the refs were under so much pressure themselves, they didn't even know what was going on most of the time.
How was the state of Tennessee after that? Was everybody rioting, or was it pretty calm, or how was it?
I think everybody was kind of heartbroken, because that call was kind of a game changer, we felt like. And we could have taken Michigan. I felt like we played our hearts out in that game. Shooting was kind of off in the first half, but we came back strong as a team and really played our hearts out. So everybody was very disappointed, not necessarily with the performance of the team, I don't believe, but just the call in general, how it altered the outcome of the game.
But you have to be pretty positive, despite the outcome, of the future of this Tennessee program.
Very much so. Very much so. Especially since Martin kind of took his name out of the hat for Marquette. That was kind of a big thing for me. And especially that they even chose him to be a part of that new coach search, him showing leadership in this Tennessee team. And so I really think that they could be an elite, kind of a contender for the 2015 playoffs.
And another awful call that happened was Nick Johnson of Arizona was charged with a charge call, too, with the extension of his elbow. Again, Tennessee and Arizona both lost to these questionable calls. A lot of questions are being asked. Do you think that refs are controlling these games too much?
I believe so. As far as the entire, 64 teams go, that's great call, those games, because those are entry games instead of these precious moments, and everything like that. But when you're in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 and you're calling these games, I think like you said, just let them play. They worked their hardest to get to where they are, and those final moments are so crucial to a game.
See, if I was a Tennessee fan, like a big fan you are, and I was watching that game, I would have thrown my TV like 8 blocks down my street. I would have gone to a ref's house and thrown eggs at his house. How angry I would have been.
Oh, I was furious, and especially being at work and hearing news and seeing everything posted, I was not a happy camper. Mm-hmm. It was hard for me to keep my composure at work.
But it's good water cooler talk. It's controversial calls are somewhat a good thing, aren't they? Or no?
I think so. They kind of add to the excitement of March Madness. It's an exciting tournament, I guess, thus far, and it kind of just adds to that. It's the whole concept of entertainment, I guess.
Unless you're the other team, the fans of the other team, and they get that call against you, then that's not entertaining.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Now, 4 teams are left: Kentucky, UConn, Wisconsin, and Florida. The most impressive runs of those 4 were Kentucky and UConn. Who do you think had the most impressive run of them to their Final Four?
My first initial thought would have been UConn because, where they came from, who they came to beat to get to where they are. But I'm going to have to go with Kentucky on this one because they were a number 8 seed, very, not even halfway gone up to get into the Final Four when this whole entire bracket was created. Kentucky was the last team on everybody's run. Yeah, they're a contender and they always have been, but this year people really didn't even expect that they would, deserve them, especially with such a young roster. Those guys look like seniors playing out there. They've been awesome. What do you think?
I definitely have to agree. I initially thought as well that UConn, because they beat Michigan State, Iowa State, and number 2 Villanova. But Kentucky, they beat 3 of the 4 Final Four teams from last season against Wichita State, Louisville, and Michigan. And like you said, nobody expected Kentucky to go deep at all. And these kids are so young that everyone thought that Calipari really lost his team. And no one expected anything from this team at all.
Exactly. And, they're definitely not everybody, but they're not Cinderella teams or anything like that. But if I had to pick a Cinderella team, I would say Kentucky's really come out of the shadows this season, most definitely.
Of the 4 teams left, who is the strongest team left standing?
I want to go with Florida because they have been strong all the way through the tournament and through the season. They have 30 straight wins now, and just really building up. But that last loss was to UConn, and with UConn building up like they have over these course of games and taking on these opponents, that's kind of a questionable, debate. But I would definitely go with Florida. I think they've done an excellent job at proving themselves. What do you think?
Yeah, Florida, fortunately, they had the easiest road, I think. I think they will do. Mm-hmm. They won't really be that contested against UConn. I think it'll be another easy road for them to national championship, which is fortunate for them. I said all along that they had the easiest road to the Final Four, and I now think they have the easiest road to the national championship against UConn. And like you said, they are the best team left. They got Patrick Young, Wilbekin, Marcus Fraser III. Just a great and deep team, and Donovan has done a great job with that roster. How do you feel about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin, I really like Wisconsin as a team. They're kind of one of my favorites in it right now as well. You know, Bo Ryan, you've heard the story, I'm sure, about his dad. And so that was a really kind of awesome win for him to win on his 90th birthday and take them to the Final Four. But they didn't make it past Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament. And coming from that is huge for them to make it this far. And they've got Frank Kaminsky, you know, 7-foot junior, averaging 22 points and 58.7% shooting in the last 3 NCAA games. So they've got a good shot at this as well.
Which player of all the teams remaining is the biggest X factor in making them a national championship?
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb with this one and go with Julius Randle. I really like him. He's very young, only 19 years old, recorded his 24th double-double of the season with 7 minutes remaining in that game. He's an awesome player. You know, with him being so young, I think he's going to be a big factor in Kentucky's success.
You think he'll be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, too?
I think he definitely could be. If he carries his team like he's been, or not carrying, I guess, but if he really works his hardest and takes this team to the next level, I definitely think he could be.
Yeah, he's been, as you said, everybody overlooked this Kentucky team, and I've been surprised and just astonished by the play of Randall. Just a big guy, and definitely, I agree with you, he's the X factor. Do you think Kentucky will win it all then, or who do you think's going to win it all?
You know, I would love to see another Florida-Kentucky matchup. I think that would be excellent. You know, they met up in the SEC Championship Tournament, and I think that would be a really cool kind of rivalry matchup. I think they could easily take it all. It would definitely take some work, but they could definitely take it all. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Florida-Kentucky matchup. I don't think Wisconsin is really that talented to beat this young NBA team, basically, of Kentucky. But for some reason, something about UConn with Shabazz Napier, I don't know if you remember with Kimball Walker, when he led that team to the 2011 National Championship, something about Shabazz Napier reminds me a lot of Kimball Walker, as they have very similar numbers, and I could somewhat see Napier propel them over Florida. Do you see that happening at all, or no?
You know, I thought the exact same thing. And I've heard that comparison everywhere. He's an excellent player. He had 25 points and 6 rebounds and 4 assists to get them to the Final Four, they said. And, you know, he's an excellent player. I mean, he can definitely be competition, I guess, was my take for the X Factor or that favorite player in the tournament with Julius Randle. You know, but I think if he plays his hardest, and I think there's, you know, other players like DeAndre Daniels and Ryan Boatwright will have to step up as well to propel against Florida.
It's an interesting Final Four because Florida's both losses are against UConn, who they lost in a buzzer beater from Napier, and Wisconsin on the other side. So this would be a very interesting Final Four.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. It's going to be exciting. I think that this Final Four could have been even better than the one that I had picked before because it's so random, you know, and there's so much competition there.
Who was your original Final Four?
Oh, well, I had Florida, Arizona. I had Tennessee in there, I have to admit. And then I had, when I redid it, I put Iowa State in there.
Somehow I am in first place in my office pool. I have no idea how that happened. The only Final Fours I have left is Florida and Wisconsin. I'm not sure how I even got to first place in my office pool. I must have. I think I bribed somebody or something like that.
There you go. Hey, that's all that matters is that you're number one.
Now, the crazy thing, after Kentucky's wild win over Michigan, John Calipari, the athletic director, and his assistant coaches collectively made over $300,000 in contract bonuses. To me, I think something is wrong here. What do you think about this whole contract bonuses from a player who achieved this for them?
I mean, the fact that John Calipari makes $5.2 million in salary a year, I think it's the highest Division I men's basketball salary. I think that's correct. But the fact that he makes that much and then gets bonuses on top of that, that's extreme. But then I think about it and I think about how much actors and movie stars get paid, I guess, to be in these movies, a form of entertainment, that we enjoy. And this is almost the same thing. But then again, like you said, these players are the ones who are busting it out for them and everything. So it's kind of a tough call. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially, there's also another story out of Ohio State, a wrestler who won a medal. I think he took first or second. And the athletic director from Ohio State, Gene Smith, got $18,000 in bonuses because of this kid won his wrestling match. It's just astonishing that they make these bonuses, like you said. Do you think that players should eventually get paid?
I don't think so. I think that it would kind of take the excitement and kind of the uniqueness out of college sports as a whole. That it's really debatable, but the treatment and what the school offers them, I know a lot of big Division I schools, it's basically like they always get paid anyway because they get so much special treatment and different meals and everything like that. They have a very good setup at where they are, but I think it would kind of take something special out of college athletics if they got paid, and it would be more like the NFL, who's going to give me more money to go where, not because of the talent, So I think it would take kind of the excitement out of it.
Yeah, it'd be hard to determine what sport gets a certain amount of money. And like you said, it'll take a lot of fun out of it. And say I'm Cliff Alexander, he's like the big high school basketball prospect for next season, and you have schools competing for you. They're going to pay more money for you. That's not fair, for smaller schools.
I completely agree. And that kind of goes along with the whole entire recruiting staff. I guess, that has been seen kinds of scandals that have gone on during the years, especially in the South with even football. The different things they do to recruit these players. It's almost like they're getting paid, like you said, the smaller schools can't recruit bigger talent because they don't have as much money invested into the program.
Unless they all just be recruited by Cracker Barrel, then they'll all be fine.
I think that Cracker Barrel would do an excellent job at recruiting players.
Just give them the free cornbread. That's all we want.
That's all I need. Just give me some cornbread and some pinto beans, and I'm set for life. No education needed.
You don't want to go on a long trip, though, after eating pinto beans.
That's very true. I'm just setting off for a car ride. Makes me sleepy.
I'll do that. I'll eat that type of food with somebody who I hate, and I'm going on a car ride.
There you go. There you go.
Now, March Madness is winding down. Next weekend is the last week. April 7th is the National Championship game. What are some things you take away from it?
I think that this March Madness has been a ball. It has been awesome. The different wins and everything, the upsets have been great. Even the Final Four has been great. And taken away from this, I think we should learn from it, and especially like next year, thinking different teams that who are a lower seed, they still have a shot and a chance. And hey, I think somebody might have a chance at that $1 billion bracket next year, learning from this year. Maybe taking a chance on the smaller team versus the number 1 seed.
Yeah, that was my biggest mistake, is I played it way too safe for my potential $1 billion bracket, and that ruined it for me. What was the most exciting moment you had so far from March Madness?
You know, I'm not going to Tennessee Colorado. I didn't expect the Tennessee Vols to go all the way to the Sweet 16. That was the most exciting moment for me. But besides that, I think the Kentucky Louisville game, that was huge, you know, and not only a rival matchup, but Kentucky exceeding expectations and heading into the Elite Eight like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the best games to watch. I think almost every single Kentucky game was the best games to watch. Especially, I thought, against Wichita State was a fun game, was one of the best games to watch. Unfortunately, my University of Illinois did not do anything in the NIT, so that was the only excitement I had for my team.
That's okay, because next year, remember? March Madness, underdog. Gonna happen.
Speaking of next year, do you have any teams you could think of right now of who looks dangerous for next season?
You know, I got to looking at the different rosters of teams who have been successful in this tournament, and looking at Wisconsin's roster, they only have 1 senior on there, and so, you know, I think if they could be a dangerous threat, especially if they now win that national championship or even make it to the national championship game, I think you can definitely look at some future moves from them. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Wisconsin really has nobody leaving. But what I normally do when I look at potential breakout teams next year, I look at the NIT tournament, because you saw when Wichita State, they won the NIT tournament 2 years ago. Then the following year, they went to the Final Four. And so Florida State is in the Final Four of the NIT, which I absolutely love. But a team that got snubbed by the NCAA tournament community this season was SMU, Southern Methodist, which I think has a real shot to make some noise next season. So I really look at a lot of NIT teams to see what they'll do. But no, I don't think University of Illinois will make any noise next season.
Hey, you know how you do Kentucky.
Tennessee, how do you think do you think they'll make it again to their amazing run this season for Tennessee?
You know, I think that they could. I think that they've proved themselves that, hey, we're a basketball team that you need to watch out for. Yeah, you know, we've been good in the past, and we haven't been so good, you know, here lately. But I think next season they'll certainly be a threat to a lot of people.
Because, I forget, is McCray a senior, or is he a junior?
I believe he is a junior. Okay. Let me see here. I think Jordan McCray. Let me see what Google says about Jordan McCray. I believe that he's actually a senior. He was a junior last year when I covered the Vols a lot, the men's basketball team a lot when I was in college, and he was a junior last year. So he is a senior this year, and will be leaving us. So
that'll be a tough hole to fill for Tennessee.
Yes, most definitely. We've got John Stokes, he's a junior, but I've heard that him and McCray both are possible, you know, on NBA watch, especially because of their success in the tournament. So we will see how that goes.
I think this year we're going to have a ton of guys leaving to the NBA. One of the most active one-and-dones and two-and-dones, I think, this season, which is unfortunate for college basketball.
Very much so. You know, cause it's not really like football. You know, a lot of people try and stick it out until their senior year to go on, but basketball, you know, like Kentucky's the perfect example of getting swept up as soon as they get right in college.
I wish I had that talent. I wish I had my parents teach me how to play basketball instead of doing flag football or, I don't know, cheerleading for me.
Life would be a lot easier if I learned to play a sport.
And if I was at least 2 feet taller as well.
Maybe 8 or 9 foot, then you'd definitely be going to the NBA.
I need to have different parents. Damn you, parents. Well,
what can you say? What can you say?
I'm going to ask in my next life to be adopted by taller parents. That's what I'm going to ask for.
Exactly. There you go. You have to adopt a child. Have you ever seen Blades of Glory by chance? Blades of Glory with Will Ferrell?
Or the ice skating movie.
Yeah, ice skating. Mm-hmm. That's what that kind of reminds me of. Because the guy who plays Napoleon Dynamite, I guess I forget the character's or his official name, but he gets all these athletic children and then trains them to be these Olympic athletes. Maybe that's what I can do.
There's a plan. I'm going to start buying kids and make them into future athletes, LeBron Jameses.
Exactly. No harm in that.
No.
For their future.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. We're just looking out for their future. Well, Amber, it was a pleasure talking to you again about the March Madness. And where can everybody find you on Twitter and etc.?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I always enjoy speaking with you. But you can follow me on Twitter at Pennycuff Sports, or take a look at my blog at amberpennycuffblog.wordpress.com, and that's where you can find me.
All right, thanks again, Amber. Enjoy the games this weekend, and have you been watching the opening day for baseball?
No, I haven't been able to. I do have it recorded on my TV, though. I've got to catch up. My nights are usually when I catch up on all of my sports. I come home, grab a glass of wine, and sit and watch my TV with my sports.
That sounds perfect. That sounds excellent. Well, you're a Rays fan, correct?
I am. I'm a big Rays fan.
Well, David Price was excellent last night, so that's the spoiler I'll give you for the Rays for last night.
That's what I heard. They started off a good start, so looking forward to the season, hopefully.
Well, my Cubs, as usual, lost again yesterday, so it's going to be a long season for us over here.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay. Maybe they'll pick themselves up. You never know.
They got to have me as their pitcher or something. They need help.
Yeah, you're like about 6'7" lefty. Is that right?
345 pounds. Pure muscle.
Linebacker.
Man, I hate my parents right now.
That's okay. If it makes you feel any better, I'm about 5'10" and wanted to cheerlead in college. I actually was a coach during college, but they told me I was too tall to cheer in college. So
you're too tall. Don't they like tall people for sports in general?
Yes, well, I guess the guys, they're much taller than me, so they get really little girls to make them kind of throw them up and everything. That probably drop me on my head.
You got like 3 inches on me, I think. I'm about 5'7". Well, my license says I'm 5'10", but I'm actually like 5'8". So it's kind of a... Gotta bloat my ego a little bit. But Amber, thanks again. But thanks again for joining. I appreciate being on the show today.
No, thank you so much for having me, and I always enjoy talking with you.
All right, thanks again, Amber, and go Rays, and hopefully the Cubs win it.
Thank you so much. Good luck, Cubs.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, thanks again for listening today. I am Ryan Neiman. Follow us on Twitter at FantasyUSports. Catch us on the web at sportsu.com and Instagram at sportsu. I am Ryan Neiman. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.